Hello and good afternoon. My name is Chris Principe. I'm the publisher of Financial IT, and I'm here at one of the most amazing shows I get to do during the year, which is Money 2020. It's the top show in Europe. Everyone that needs to be seen, you can see here. This show today is coming to you from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Very excellent host city. And we're having a great time here at Money 2020. And that good time continues with Monika. Monika, how are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. No, my pleasure. And please tell us a little bit about the company.
Yes, well, Enfuce was founded 2016, so almost 9 years ago. And I used to be a banker myself, and I was a bit sick and tired of when I needed to put out new products to my customers. It always took very long, and it was very expensive. And doing that for multiple years, and I knew it wasn't rocket science. So I then decided to found a company that does it better, faster, and globally scalable. And little did I know what I was getting myself into. But I think the great part was that when I decided that we should be globally scalable, it actually forced us back in 2016 to go public cloud. So we actually became the first one in the world to put the issuance of money in a public cloud. We chose AWS because they had the most advanced security features back in those days and still continue to do. And then we got it approved by the Finnish Financial Supervisory Authority. So I think my background in being a bank CIO and also in the telco industry during the late 90s enabled to somehow understand what the infrastructure should look like. And then with my co-founders, we really sat down and thought about how do we build a world-class scalable processor that have 0 points of failure, especially looking at this day and age and remembering we're a Finnish company. We are really pleased with the infrastructure we have because we have really good capabilities to make sure our uptimes are very high.
Boy, quite a handful that you've taken on. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, what are some of the challenges that you're solving for your customers?
Well, we have, let's say, 3 types of customers. One are, of course, the traditional banks who need a better processor where the infrastructure is, state of the art, not legacy, and we can move fast so that they can actually put out new products to their customers. Then the second really big target for us is fleet and mobility. So really enabling fleet providers that are now and fuel providers who are transitioning into EV to really make sure that they can build loyalty through their card program. So enabling them really advanced spend controls and transaction data. And the third part where we also are really proud is that we do a lot of programs where we enable governments or then relief funds to help with, for example, now with the war in Ukraine. We've been in multiple European countries enabling relief funds on cards because what it does, it actually destigmatizes. So normally or typically when you as a refugee go to a country and you get money or something, you get it on a piece of paper. And that can be a bit dehumanizing. So of course, now when we have the cards, you can be whoever you are. And it's also protecting you because when money is in digital format, we can fight terrorist financing, money laundering, and human trafficking. So we also do the cards for the Finnish Defense Forces and the social benefits. So those are the 3 main focus. But of course, as a processor, technically we can do any type of card, but focusing on B2B and then on the governmental side, on the B2C side.
Well, Monika, I appreciate hearing some of it because some of those examples really show you the breadth of what you can do, how broad it can be. And you gave a very interesting specific example. And I would agree with you, by people then having a card, not only is it more secure, but it's more normal, like what everyone else does. And I know in some places, just having the card itself can be a status symbol, whether they even use it or not, right?
Yeah.
So really interesting that you're doing that. And with the breadth of your processing, though, where do you think the next steps are going?
Well, I think in general, the market I think the whole concept of disrupting and competing is off. I think the world is too much dividing and competing. I think collaboration should be more focused. And being here at Money 2020, what I really hope to see is much more of collaboration, big players, neo players, but with the intent to bring value to us, the people. Because I do think there's a lot of shows here talking about stuff that nobody actually really cares about. Like, to be honest, it's not innovation. So for me, I'm hoping and also seeing a bit more collaboration starting and payments evolving. And I do hope that when the world economical situation, both from a macroeconomic and of course from peace side, will evolve, I really hope that us, the people, get better services going forward.
I can really see, a world with a little more collaboration for sure.
Yes.
And be able to put into people's hands something that's safe and secure,
Yes.
which is a card
Yeah.
that's digitally
Yes.
loaded. So when you're on the other side, not on your client's side,
Yeah.
what are the issues that they're having with being able to roll some of these things out?
Yeah, I think actually the biggest challenge that I keep seeing over and over is mindset. This legacy thinking of it can't be done. And I do think that if people in general would be more, half glass full instead of half glass empty, I don't know why. What happens when you become a banker? Like when we used to be a banker, why do you think that you need to be against something? So I think that's, to be really honest, I think that's my biggest challenge. But I do also see that then the corporations and the companies, it's always about people. Like we work together with Visa and MasterCard, giant, huge companies, but it's still the people. When you find the right people with the right mindset, you can really get stuff done.
Well, you're right. I know from my years of being a banker, what you described is pretty accurate. And in fact, if somebody came up with like something different, an idea, the tendency was to push them out.
Yes.
Right. Yep. So really what you're talking about here is not only a revolutionary product, but a process and a way of opening up people's minds.
Yeah, it's painful. But I always keep saying that only through pain and suffering legends are born. But I do think, like, when we talk about at Enfuce about sustainable growth and like, I'm really in it for the long term. I'm like, I have 4 children. I want to build a legacy. I want to build a company I can be proud of. And doing that quick wins is not the answer. Meaning, again, when we are here to protect and serve, as you said, when you put funds on a digital card and you do the know your customer and you really understand where the funds are coming from, it not only does it humanize the people who are maybe not financially literate or have access to funds, but it also makes them be part of the financial system. And I think currently banks, especially in Europe and especially in the Nordics, are way too scared of onboarding customers that they don't understand because they are not willing to do the work, to know who they are and help them, because tech is never the problem. It's always the people, like in the banks. Sorry for that. But I think the challenge is the not wanting to find ways to do things in a secure manner. And that's what I really hope, that going forward, we should collaborate more. And then it becomes a work that is not focused on competition. So like, in order for me to win, you don't have to lose.
There's so many things in what you said that I really like. And yeah, I mean, that's, kind of the mindset in the banks is, anything new we don't want to do.
Yes, exactly.
And with that, when you start talking about some of the groups that you're talking about, a lot of times the term used is the unbanked.
Yes.
Right. And I kind of believe that what people need in general is just a simple, easy way to pay and get paid.
Exactly.
And I think the banks look at it, well, rather than just providing this, there's not enough value in that customer.
Yeah.
But It's a short-term view.
Exactly, because if we then think about the societal issues, and let's be honest, I'm a founder. I do work to get paid, so it's not like I'm not an NGO. Like I like to get paid and make money, but I think exactly as you said that it's too short-sighted, and it actually ends up hurting the whole society as such, because we don't want to have these gray economies. We want to have the inclusion, because with inclusion we get protection, we get better services, etc. And I don't understand why we don't want to actually work to read. But I know it because it's hard work, and it's easy to just continue business as usual.
Well, and I don't have to tell you that in the bank, a lot of it is push it on to the next guy. Right?
Yes, exactly. And that's it. And that's also what I see a lot. Like when I do big RFPs, it's very seldom the same people that do the RFP who decide to choose us. And it's definitely not the same people who chose us who will be in the project. And definitely not the people who are in production with us are not the same, which becomes a challenge, because there's a built-in bias to hate us, because the people who chose us, they saw all the awesomeness, but then the people who will work with us wasn't part of the journey. So it's kind of the car they never wanted, even though they like it, but they didn't choose this. So I think that's also a challenge. Like, how could big players become better at buying? Because the excuse that I hear a lot is, I could do this, but compliance. And that's really BS. It's not a compliance problem, but if they are not part of the journey, their job is to protect, and then very seldom something new is with zero risk. Because of course, when you do stuff, there's always risks involved.
Well, it's interesting, having gone through many, many RFPs myself,
Yeah.
that, it's such a flawed process
Yeah.
in general. And I mean, I gotta tell you, your goal when you do an RFP is to be one of the 3 selected,
Yes.
right? That's the first step.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things that we used to do, and my staff hated me for it, but my goal was just to have the thickest number of pages for the RFP,
Yeah.
because you almost always get in the top 3.
Yeah.
It's not a good reason,
No, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to make these kind of changes
Yeah.
when you have a process that's
Yeah.
already flawed. And by the way, nobody reads the RFPs.
No.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys,
It makes like there's some poor person who has to go through all that and then start putting some, numbers and stuff.
Everyone else reads your executive
Yes,
summary.
exactly.
If
That's
that.
it. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, it's such a waste. Think about all of that energy to just bringing the people on. But yeah, but it is a challenge.
But I guess it's a bad process, but it's the best process we have.
Yeah,
I don't know what
yeah.
the answer.
No,
to that
I
one is,
agree.
but-
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So I think again, it's like, as a Finn, I would say if you want to win a hockey match, you don't come with soccer shoes. So you need to know how to play the game to win it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of improvements that could be made.
Well, I'll tell you, I love that analogy of hockey and soccer, because we want to win the game.
Yeah.
So in winning the game, why did you choose Money 2020?
Yeah, but this is the place to be. So we've been coming here since 2017, and you can really feel the pulse in the market. So if I look at this now and the buzz, there are positive vibes, and I think this is good, because I think we've been in a downturn for quite some time now. So looking at that, and then also you can see the new things that are popping up, and then you see, of course, the normal and old stuff as well. But I think from our perspective, again, being an issuer processor, Money 2020 is the place to be. So they have really been able to execute and evolve in a good way. I like how they're running it, and it's
Yeah, no, Monica, you're right. I do a lot of shows. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite shows for years and
Yes,
years,
yeah.
right? And when you talk about, coming here, the vibe here for
Yes,
this year
yes.
really seems more upbeat,
Yes.
and some more new things. So speaking about new things, what's the future for you guys? Where's the industry going to go? What's next?
Yeah, for us, it's of course expansion. So even though we are really aiming to become number 1 in Europe, we are also starting to look a little bit outside of European remit. So starting off with Brazil, looking there, had a little bit of look at the US market, but you guys are a bit different.
Yeah.
Like there's some big change, like differences. So from a processing perspective, but really becoming number one, strengthening our foothold here, and then also being a bit more, let's say, opportunistic when it comes to. But of course, again, as an old banker, I like numbers and I like growing and I like making money. So eyes on the prize.
I say, as an old banker too, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Well, Monika, really, it's been a real pleasure to have
Thank
you
you
here.
so much
Thank
for
you
having
for
me.
spending some time with Financial IT, and best of success going
Thank
forward.
you so much for having me.